Welcome to exercise 9I. Today we're going to be looking at stem and leaf plots. Now we use these when we want to share or display some data in an abbreviated way, and we can use one set of data or we can use two sets of data. The important thing is that we always need to have a key, and let's get straight into our examples to see if we can make sense of them. Now, first example says, consider the following data set, and there's a whole lot of numbers there. The thing I want you to notice when you're looking at the numbers is what is the smallest number and what is the largest number. So let's actually have a look at this. Now the smallest number appears as though it might be a 14. Can we see any numbers smaller than 14 as we scan through the numbers? I'm pretty sure that's the smallest number. And the largest number appears to be 45. So there's my smallest and there's my largest number. Let's just, oh, no it's not. I've just spotted another one. So let's look at that, 53. And maybe you spotted that before I did. Let's just double check, go through them all to make sure there's no numbers smaller than 14 or bigger than 53. That appears to be all my numbers, so 14 and 53. Now, one thing I want you to notice when you look at the number 14 and the number 53, the number 14, we want to actually break it up into two parts. It's made up of two digits. The 4 comes from the units column, and the 1 comes from the tens column, if you remember back in primary school. And that's what we're going to do in our stem and leaf plot. In our stem, we're going to put the tens column. So we've got a whole lot of numbers that are or begin with a 1. We've got a whole lot of number in the 20s. We've got a whole lot of numbers in the 30s. We've got some numbers in the 40s and some numbers in the 50s. Now the smallest number we said was the number 14. So what we do is we put a 4 in the leaf column. And when you look at that, what you actually have to be able to do is you actually have to say that 1 and that 4 combined make the number 14. So that's what you have to be aware of. So let me undo that red bit. Now, I'm going to come back here and get rid of this, get rid of that colour there, and I've used the 14. What's the next smallest number that we can see? Well, what I might do actually is this. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to highlight all the numbers that start with a 1. So there's that one, that one. We know we've already used that one. It's that one. All the numbers that start with a 1, so they're going to belong in the row with the stem that starts with a 1. So we've got 14. What's our next biggest number? That's 17. So I'm just going to put a 7 here. The next biggest number is an 18, and that happens twice, and then there's a 19, and that's all the numbers that start with a 1. So when I look at this stem and leaf plot, I need to be able to go, when I'm looking at this row here, the 1 means that there is a number 14, a number 17, a number 18, a number 18, and a number 19. That's what it actually means. Get rid of that colour now. I need to go to my second row, which is the stem row that starts with a 2. Now, in order to go to the stem row that starts with a 2, I'm going to need to know my, let's just shrink this a little bit. I'm going to need to know my numbers that start with 2s. There's all my 20s. So I'm going to highlight all of the 20s just so we can see them. Oop, missed one there. There's all my numbers that start with a 2. Now, what's the smallest one of those? Well, the number 20. So I put a 0 in the leaf. The 2 out the front in the stem row, 2 and the 0 make a 20. The next smallest number is 21. Then I have a 23. Then I have a 25, a 26, a 27, and a 29. So that's all my 2s sorted out. Now let's have a look at our 3s. So all the numbers that start with a 3, I'll put in yellow here. There's all the numbers that start with a 3. Now, of all of those numbers, the smallest number is a 32. So in the stem row that starts with 3, I'll put a 2. That represents the 32. The next smallest number is a 34, so I'm going to put a 4 here, a 35, a 36, a 37, and a 38. So they're all of the 30 numbers. Now, how many numbers are there? I'm not going to highlight them, but actually I'll underline them with red. All the numbers that start with 40, or start with a 4. There's only 2 of them, and the smallest one is 42, and the biggest one is 45, and in the 50s, there's only one number in the 50s, and that's 53. Now, that's my stem and leaf plot, but what I haven't done, and normally you do it first, but I didn't because we didn't know what a stem and leaf plot was. We have to have a key, this part here. It's important that we actually have a key. Now, a key means, and normally we use the smallest number in the data set. The smallest number in the data set is the number 14. So I'm going to go 1, and then you put a little vertical line and a 4. And that means that's my key. So the number 14 has that little line between it, so the 1 is in front of the line, so it's in the stem column, and the 4 is after the line, so it's in the leaf column. Now, if I go back and just look at all of the numbers up the top here, up there, I can see what the biggest number is. But if I look down at my stem and leaf plot, I can also see the biggest number is in the stem row with a 5, and the biggest number is 53. So when I have question or part B and it says what's the maximum score, the biggest score or the maximum number is a 53. What's the minimum score? Go to the stem column stem row starting with a 1, and the first number in the leaf column is a 4, 1 and 4. 14 is the smallest score. What's the range? Well, the range is always the biggest number minus the smallest number. And 53 take away 14 is 39. And let's shrink that just a little bit. Part D says, find the median. Now the median is the middle number. Well, I don't know what the middle number is unless I know how many numbers there are in total. So what I'm going to do is count all of the numbers. Let me use orange here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 numbers. Now if there are 21 numbers, 10 and 10 make 20, so there must be 10 numbers to one side, 10 numbers to the other side, and there'll be the 11th number in the middle. So I'm going to look and I'm going to go, looking at my stem and leaf column now, looking at just the leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the 11th number. And if I just kept going and started counting again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, there are 10 numbers before that 7 and 10 numbers after that 7. So the median is not 7. The leaf part of it is 7, but the stem part of it is 2. So the median is 27. Time for you to try doing some questions. See how you go. Bye for now.